Boy, this just boils me. Remember when I was chatting with Mitt Romney yesterday about this likely very crowded Republican presidential field? Now, I said it is so crowded. Good luck Republicans deciding on a nominee by convention time, like they did back with him back in 2012. Come 2016, it's not going to happen. Now, he scoffed. If they're apportioned by vote primaries following out, you could get to a situation which begs the issue. Would you entertain the party coming to you and saying, Governor, we're at a draw here?
First, that's not going to happen. Two, I'm not an entertainer. And three, that was a long time ago that happened. Look, we're going to have our nominee among one of those people.
Well, he may say never, 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 but girls told me that all the time in high school before my mother finally said yes, and we went to the prom together. Anyway, my point is this. There are going to be a lot of Republicans vying for this presidential nomination. I'm thinking at least a dozen, probably more. Let's say half of them stick it out right through the spring. And so many of these primaries reward delegates based on your portion of the vote. That means they're all competing for the same number of delegates being portioned out. It gets to be mathematically impossible for any one man or woman to amass the delegates necessary by the time the convention gets to Cleveland. So consider just those vying for the evangelical vote. Back in 2008, it was just Mike Huckabee. 4 years later, it was pretty much just Rick Santorum. But this time, it'll be Rick and Mike and Ted Cruz and maybe Ben Carson and maybe Marco Rubio making his Roman Catholic claim to Christian conservatives. You get the picture? It's a crowded picture. It's a crowded race. To Rick Santorum, who joined us on the phone, whether he's praying a little bit more these days. Senator, what do you think?
I can always use a few more prayers, Neil. Thank you.
Well,
look, I think that it's way too early. I mean, you go back to 4 years ago, there were a whole lot of other people who were considering. You talked about Rick Santorum being the only person there. Well, I think Michelle Bachmann and Herman Cain and Rick Perry and Newt Gingrich. There are a whole lot of people who were trying to appeal to those voters that we eventually did very well with. But it's going to be it's always competitive. It has been competitive in the past, and this thing will winnow itself down. There isn't enough air in the chamber for 12 or 13 candidates to make it for a few weeks. It will narrow down in the first few weeks in the first few primaries.
All right. Now, I know you're a very religious guy, but I'm married to math. I am a numbers geek, although I try to be decent. And the numbers just don't add up. I mean, in other words, just to get to the 1,200, 1,300 delegates, you're going to need ultimately what the states decide on how much is a portion in each state. Well, it's going to be an uphill climb. And if someone stays in, even a significant group through April or May, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, it gets to be prohibitive. Does that make you think there is a possibility? Because as you know, Senator, and you're a good historian, this used to be more the norm, multiple ballots, than recent history where it's a single ballot, where that could happen again.
I think it certainly could. It could have happened last time, and
right.
There were several candidates who hung around. But as you know, if you go back and look at the last time, there were several candidates, and it narrowed down after a few weeks. It narrowed down to really two who had a possibility of winning, and that is likely to happen this time also. But if it doesn't happen, as I said last time around, it's not the end of the world. The bottom line is that the primary process, let it work, let the competition work, and if there is a real division, then we'll go to something that I'm certainly not worried about. I think an interesting convention where we have ideas out there and we have candidates putting forth different visions for the country in a dynamic way that can captivate a nation. I mean, we haven't had a competitive Republican or Democratic primary convention in a couple of generations. I think it would be exciting if actually.
Well, I'm going to raise a bet with you. I think it's going to happen. You could very well be in that mix. But enough about me. Back to you and the guests I had on with me talking about you, including Foster Freeze, big friend of yours, big backer of yours. And I raised with him the fact that he also likes some other guys in the party. This is Foster Freeze from a few days ago. Now, I know you've placed your bets and your support behind Rick Santorum, but you also have been seen in the company of Senator Cruz. Are you hedging your bets?
I'm a Rick Santorum guy, and I'm just so impressed with our entire field, and Ted Cruz is one amazing human being. But the challenge that all of us face is how do we get the establishment and the Tea Party to kiss and make up? Because if that doesn't happen, we're dead in the water as Republicans.
Senator, is he leaving you?
Is he what, me?
Leaving you. Is he hinting that he could drop you?
No, I mean, I just talked to Foster today, as a matter of fact. No, Foster's a good friend and a great supporter. And by the way, we're building a very strong team. I mean, it's really exciting to see so many people who are encouraging us to get into this race. We haven't made any decisions of that yet.
But he hasn't said anything to you, Senator, where he says, I love you dearly, Rick. You're an honorable, great man. But at the first sign of stumbling, I'm going to leave you in a heartbeat. Oh,
my goodness. No, I don't know. Foster and I are very, very close and close personal friends, as well as see the world and all aspects the same. And so, no, I'm not. That's the last thing I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is making sure that before we enter into this thing, that we've got a big, strong team that we can run the kind of race that's going to be a winning race, not only in the primary but also in the general. Do what Foster said. Foster and I talk about this a lot. How we have to have a message that's a unifying message, not just between the Tea Party and the establishment, but reaching out and bringing this country together. I think so many people are sick of the division that's going on in this country, and they're looking for someone with a fresh message to bring us together.
All right, we'll watch closely, Senator. It's always a pleasure. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil.
Rick Santorum.